The translator device hummed softly as Ambassador Rolani stepped onto Earth soil for the first time. Her luminescent skin flickered with shades of blue and gold, expressing emotions her alien face could not show. Behind her, 4 other species representatives descended from the diplomatic vessel, each one certain they were about to welcome another primitive species into galactic civilization. Director Amara Singh waited at the landing pad with a carefully practiced smile. She had spent 3 decades preparing for this moment. Every word, every gesture, every display of weakness had been rehearsed 1,000 times. "Welcome to Earth," Singh said, bowing slightly. "We are honored by your presence." Rolani's translator converted the words into her native tongue. She found the human's posture appropriately humble. Good. These creatures would be easy to guide. "The Galactic Concord extends its protection to your young species," Rolani announced. "You have much to learn, but we are patient teachers." Singh kept her expression neutral. Patient teachers. The phrase carried weight that the aliens did not intend. Humanity had been listening to their transmissions for over a century. They knew exactly what protection meant when predator species came calling. The delegation was escorted to the Geneva Stellar Complex, a modest building by galactic standards. Counselor Bryn, an insectoid Thessari with compound eyes that missed nothing, studied the architecture as they walked. Something about the walls bothered him. The concrete seemed unusually thick. The windows were positioned strangely, almost like defensive emplacements. He said nothing. It was probably just primitive construction methods. Far beyond Jupiter, hidden in the electromagnetic chaos of the gas giant's radiation belts, Captain David Okonkwo sat in the command chair of the UES Prometheus. The vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, bristling with weapons that violated every arms limitation treaty the Concord had ever written. "Diplomatic party has landed," Lieutenant Yuki Tanaka reported from her station. "Director Singh has made contact." Okonkwo nodded slowly. "Maintain silent running. We move only if ordered." Around him, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. They had trained for this scenario for years. Every officer aboard knew the stakes. If the aliens discovered the Prometheus, humanity's entire strategy would collapse. Back on Earth, the negotiations proceeded smoothly. The conquered representatives explained the benefits of protected status, access to galactic trade networks, medical technologies that could extend human lifespans by decades, educational exchanges with ancient civilizations. In return, humanity would agree to limit its military development. Small defensive vessels only, no weapons capable of interstellar projection, standard terms for a primitive species. Singh pretended to be overwhelmed by the generosity. "Your Concord is truly remarkable," she said, her voice filled with practiced wonder. "We never imagined such kindness existed among the stars." Rolani's skin glowed warmly. These humans were endearing in their simplicity. Perhaps they would make excellent additions to the Concord's cultural exchange programs. Only Counselor Bryn remained uneasy. He had noticed the human guards stationed throughout the complex. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated. Their eyes constantly scanned for threats. These were not ceremonial soldiers. These were veterans. During a break in negotiations, Bryn approached one of the guards. "You have seen combat," he observed. The guard's expression did not change. "We defend our home, Counselor, that is all." "Against what threats? Your species has barely left your solar system." A small smile crossed the guard's face. "We have active imaginations." That night, encrypted transmissions flew between Earth and the hidden fleet. Intelligence analysts had confirmed what they feared. The Keth Dominion, a predator empire that consumed protected species for sport, had detected the conquered diplomatic mission. Scout ships were already moving toward Saul. Director Singh read the report in her private quarters. Her hands did not shake. She had known this moment would come eventually. Humanity had prepared for exactly this scenario. She opened a secure channel to Captain Okonkwo. "Status of the fleet. 7 dreadnoughts ready. 42 support vessels, full combat readiness. Singh closed her eyes. Decades of deception were about to end. The galaxy thought humans were helpless primitives, easy prey for any species with faster ships and bigger guns. They were about to learn otherwise. "Hold position," she ordered, "but be ready, the Keth are coming." On the Prometheus, Okonkwo ended the transmission and looked out at the stars. His grandmother had told him stories about Earth's history, about how powerful nations had colonized weaker ones, taking everything and leaving nothing, about how the colonized had learned to fight back. Humanity had seen the galaxy's true nature in those intercepted transmissions. They had watched recordings of the Keth slaughtering protected species. They had learned that treaties meant nothing to predators. So they had built something the galaxy had never seen, not warships designed for conquest, warships designed for survival. Tomorrow, the diplomatic games would continue. Singh would smile and pretend to be grateful for alien charity. The conquered representatives would feel good about themselves for helping another primitive species. But somewhere in the darkness beyond Jupiter, the Prometheus waited. And when the predators finally came, they would discover that humanity was not prey. It was something else entirely. 3 days into negotiations, Counselor Bryn made a discovery that troubled him deeply. He had been examining human historical archives, a courtesy extended to all diplomatic guests, when he found records of something called the World Wars. Millions dead, entire cities burned, weapons that split atoms. And these humans had done it to themselves. Bryn's compound eyes processed the images of destruction. The Thessari were an old species. They had seen many civilizations rise and fall, but he had never encountered a species that had come so close to self-extinction and survived. More disturbing was what came after. The humans had rebuilt. They had created international laws, peacekeeping forces, and diplomatic institutions. They had channeled their violent nature into something constructive. They had learned. Meanwhile, Director Singh received another intelligence report. The Keth scout ship had moved closer, now lurking at the edge of sensor range. It was observing, cataloging, and transmitting data back to the Dominion. "They're measuring our defenses," her intelligence chief explained. "Standard Keth protocol before an acquisition raid." Singh studied the sensor data. How long before they bring a full fleet? Based on previous patterns, 48 to 72 hours. She dismissed the officer and sat alone in her office. The conquered representatives had no idea what was coming. Their species had lived under the protection of treaties for so long that they had forgotten what predators really were. Humanity had not forgotten. In the asteroid belt, Captain Okonkwo ordered the Prometheus to begin a slow approach toward the inner solar system. The massive vessel moved like a ghost, its advanced stealth systems hiding it from every known detection method. Lieutenant Tanaka monitored the ship's systems with practiced precision. "Captain, we're receiving updated tactical data from Earth Command. The Keth have brought 6 vessels, 2 heavy cruisers, 4 raiders." Okonkwo studied the information. The Keth fleet was small by galactic standards, but more than enough to overwhelm the token defensive frigates Earth had publicly displayed. "They think we're defenseless," he said quietly. "That's the idea, sir." On Earth, Ambassador Rolani continued her gracious education of the primitive humans. She explained the Conquered's history, its founding principles, and the peace it had maintained for thousands of years. Director Singh listened politely, asking innocent questions. How did the Conquered handle species that refused to follow treaties? What happened to worlds that fell outside Conquered protection? Rolani's answers were vague. Some species chose isolation, others faced difficulties. The Conquered could not protect everyone. Singh pressed gently. "We have detected unusual signals at the edge of our solar system. Our scientists are curious about their origin." For the first time, Rolani's luminescent skin flickered with something other than warmth. "Likely background radiation. Space is full of strange signals." Of course, Singh agreed. We are still learning to interpret what we detect. Later that evening, Counselor Bryn requested a private meeting with Director Singh. They met in a secure room, away from translators and recording devices. You know about the Keth, Bryn said directly. His species valued honesty over diplomatic games. Singh considered her response carefully. We have studied your transmissions for many years, Counselor. We know more than we have revealed. Bryn's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Then you know what protected status truly means, a document that predators ignore, a symbol that offers comfort but no safety. We know. And yet you negotiate, you smile, you pretend to be grateful. Singh met his compound eyes without flinching. What would you have us do, Counselor? Reveal our knowledge and lose what advantage secrecy provides? Bryn was silent for a long moment. Then he made a sound that his species used to. Express respect. You are not what you appear to be. No species survives by being exactly what it appears to be. That night, the Keth Scout transmitted its final report. The target world was defended by fewer than 20 small vessels. The population was concentrated in predictable locations. The diplomatic presence meant the conquered could not legally intervene without lengthy procedures. Perfect conditions for harvest. Commander Vornes, aboard the Keth heavy cruiser Fang of Conquest, reviewed the data with satisfaction. Another easy target, another world to plunder. The predator species had grown fat on such conquests. He ordered his fleet to prepare for transition. In 12 hours, they would emerge in the target system. By the time the conquered could respond, the humans would already be subjugated. Vornes did not bother to investigate the strange energy readings near the system's largest planet. His analysts dismissed them as natural phenomena. It was the last mistake he would ever make. 6 points of light tore through the fabric of space, emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation. The Keth fleet had arrived. Commander Vornes stood at the center of his bridge, his scaled hide gleaming under harsh lighting. His species had evolved as apex predators, and they had carried that nature into the stars. Broadcast on all frequencies, he ordered. Standard acquisition terms. The message went out across the solar system. Surrender or die. Simple terms that the Keth had used 1,000 times before. On Earth, the conquered diplomatic vessel detected the transmission. Ambassador Relani's skin went pale, losing all its warm colors. She rushed to the communication center, demanding to know what was happening. This is conquered protected space, she transmitted desperately. The Galactic Conquered claims protection over this species. You are violating treaty law. Vornes's response came quickly, accompanied by what passed for laughter among the Keth. These creatures have signed no treaties. They belong to no one. By Dominion law, they are unclaimed resources. Relani turned to Director Singh, her expression desperate. We must evacuate. Our vessel can take some of you to safety. The conquered will file protests, begin negotiations. Singh watched the alien diplomat with something close to pity. How long do negotiations typically take, Ambassador? Months, sometimes years, but eventually. Eventually. Nothing remains to save. Singh's voice was calm, almost cold. She touched a device on her wrist. Captain Okonkwo, you are authorized to reveal yourself. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sensors aboard every vessel in the system detected something impossible. A massive ship emerged from the asteroid belt, dropping its stealth systems. The Prometheus was 2 kilometers of angular armor and visible weapon arrays. It moved with a grace that should have been impossible for something its size, accelerating toward the Keth fleet. Commander Vornes stared at his display in confusion. His scouts had reported no such vessel. His intelligence had shown only primitive frigates. What is that thing? He demanded. His tactical officer had no answer. Captain Okonkwo's voice cut across all channels, steady and unafraid. Keth vessels, you have entered human space with hostile intent. You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed. There will be no negotiation. There will be no second warning. Vornes recovered from his shock quickly. He was a predator, and predators did not flee from prey. "One ship against 6? You are brave but foolish, human. We will add your vessel to our collection." "Then come," Okonkwo replied. "Learn what humans are." On the conquered diplomatic vessel, the representatives watched in stunned silence. Counselor Bryn's compound eyes tracked the Prometheus as it moved, analyzing its design. The weapons he saw should not exist. The conquered had banned such systems centuries ago. The humans had never signed those treaties. Ambassador Rolani could not process what she was seeing. The species she had come to protect, the primitive creatures she had meant to guide, had built something that dwarfed anything in the conquered fleet. "How," she whispered, "how is this possible?" Director Singh stood beside her, watching the display. "We learned from your transmissions, Ambassador. We saw what happened to protected species when predators came calling. We decided to protect ourselves." The Keth fleet began its attack run. 6 ships against 1, the mathematics of certain victory. Vornes ordered his vessels forward, confident in numbers and experience. Then the Prometheus fired. Kinetic accelerators launched projectiles at a fraction of light speed. Directed plasma arrays cut through void with surgical precision. Missile batteries released swarms of intelligent warheads that adapted to Keth countermeasures. The first Keth raider exploded in seconds, its shields overwhelmed before the crew could react. The second followed moments later, torn apart by concentrated fire. Vornes screamed orders, trying to coordinate a response. But human combat doctrine was nothing like what his species had encountered before. There was no posturing, no ritual challenges, no pause for surrender demands, only violence, pure and efficient. On the Prometheus, Lieutenant Tanaka called out targets with mechanical calm. Her hands moved across her console faster than any conquered species could track. Human neural pathways, evolved on a world that killed the slow and rewarded the quick, gave her reaction speeds that seemed supernatural. A Keth plasma bolt struck the Prometheus amidships. The ship shuddered. Damage reports flooded in. 12 crew members died in the breach. Captain Okonkwo's expression did not change. "Seal the section, continue firing." 2 more Keth raiders fell. Vornes finally understood that he had made a terrible mistake. This was not prey fighting back. This was something his species had never encountered. A predator more dangerous than the Keth. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice breaking. "All ships retreat." The surviving Keth vessels fled toward the hyperspace boundary, their engines straining. The Prometheus did not pursue. It held position, weapons still tracking as the predators ran. Silence fell across the solar system. Then Captain Okonkwo spoke again, his voice transmitted to every vessel present. "Let the galaxy know what happened here today. Earth is not undefended. Earth will never be undefended again." Smoke filled the damaged corridor as emergency crews rushed to seal the breach. Petty Officer Adisa pressed her hands against the wound in her side, refusing to leave her station until the repair was complete. Around her, the Prometheus continued its deadly work. The battle was not over. 2 Keth heavy cruisers remained, their commanders too proud or too desperate to flee with the raiders. They had regrouped near Mars, preparing for a final assault. Captain Okonkwo studied the tactical display. The Prometheus had taken damage. 12 dead, 30 wounded. But the ship remained operational and his crew remained determined. "They're charging weapons," Lieutenant Tanaka reported. "Full power assault pattern." "Then we finish this." The Prometheus surged forward, closing the distance. Keth doctrine emphasized. Long-range bombardment, wearing down enemies before delivering killing blows. Human doctrine was different. Humans fought close, fast, and without mercy. On the conquered diplomatic vessel, Ambassador Rolani watched the engagement with growing horror. She had studied human history during the negotiations. She knew about their wars, their violence, their capacity for destruction. But seeing it in action was something else entirely. The humans did not fight like conquered species. There was no hesitation, no concern for escalation, no pause for diplomatic alternatives. They simply destroyed what threatened them. Counselor Bryn observed with different emotions. His analytical mind processed everything, comparing human tactics to every species he had encountered. The humans were efficient, brutally, terrifyingly efficient. The Prometheus reached optimal range and unleashed everything. Kinetic rounds tore through Keth armor. Plasma beams melted through shield generators. The human vessel took hits in return, sections of hull rupturing into space, but it kept coming. Commander Voornes had retreated to his flagship, the Fang of Conquest. He watched his remaining cruiser explode, its reactor breaching under concentrated fire. For the first time in his long career, he felt genuine fear. "Retreat," he ordered his helm officer. "Maximum power to engines." But the Prometheus was faster than any vessel its size had a right to be. It matched the Keth flagship's course, cutting off escape routes. Captain Okonkwo opened a channel. "Commander Voornes, your fleet is destroyed. Your ship is damaged. You have one chance to surrender." Voornes bared his fangs at the display. Surrender was not in Keth nature. His species did not yield to prey. "We will never surrender to livestock," he snarled. "Then die as what you are." The final exchange lasted 37 seconds. The Fang of Conquest became an expanding cloud of debris scattered across millions of kilometers. Commander Voornes and his crew joined the void. Silence fell across the solar system once more. The Prometheus hung in space, damaged but victorious. Repair crews were already working on the hull breaches. Medical teams tended to the wounded. In the ship's memorial chamber, the names of the 12 dead were being added to the wall. Captain Okonkwo left the bridge for the first time since the battle began. He walked through damaged corridors, stopping to speak with crew. Members learning the names of those who had fallen. Each loss weighed on him. He had known some of them for years. When he reached the medical bay, he found Lieutenant Tanaka being treated for minor burns. She had refused to leave her station during the battle despite the injury. "How many did we save?" she asked. 8 billion, Okonkwo replied. "The entire planet." She nodded slowly. "Worth it then." The conquered diplomatic vessel requested permission to approach the Prometheus. Ambassador Relani wanted to see the human warship up close, to understand what she had witnessed. Director Singh granted the request. The shuttle docked in one of the Prometheus's secondary bays. Relani and Counselor Bryn stepped onto the human vessel, escorted by armed Marines. The air smelled of smoke and recycled atmosphere. Emergency lights still flickered in some sections. Bryn noticed the crew members they passed. Many were injured. Some were clearly exhausted. But they moved with purpose, repairing damage, tending to systems, preparing for the next threat. "You are remarkable," he said quietly. A young crew member looked up from his repair work. "We're human," he said simply. "This is what we do." Ambassador Relani found Captain Okonkwo on an observation deck, staring out at Earth. The blue planet hung in the void, beautiful and fragile. "How many of those ships do you have?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Okonkwo turned to face her. His expression was tired but unbroken. "Enough. The conquered never knew. We thought you were primitives." "You thought we needed protection." Okonkwo looked back at Earth. "We protected ourselves. That's what deathworlders do." Relani wanted to argue. She wanted to explain that the conquered meant well, that their protection was genuine. But the words would not come. The Keth had come to harvest Earth like countless worlds before it, and only human strength had stopped them. Perhaps, she thought, the conquered needed to reconsider what protection really meant. The transmission spread across the galaxy faster than any ship could travel. Recording drones had captured everything. 6 Keth warships entering human space. 1 human dreadnought emerging from hiding. The complete destruction of the Keth fleet in under an hour. Every species in the galactic conquered watched. Many watched more than once. On the conquered homeworld, emergency sessions were called. Species that had never. agreed on anything suddenly found common ground in their shock. The humans, the primitive species they had planned to shelter and guide, had just done what the Conquered's peacekeeping fleets could not. They had made predators run. Back on Earth, Director Singh faced Ambassador Rilani across a conference table. The warm pretenses of the past week had evaporated. Both women understood that their relationship had fundamentally changed. "You deceived us," Rilani said. Her luminescent skin displayed patterns of hurt and confusion. "We protected ourselves," Singh replied calmly. "Would you have preferred we die waiting for conquered treaties to save us?" Rilani had no answer. "We studied your history, Ambassador. We know what happened to the Veltrani, the Ashii, the Makith, protected species, all of them, now extinct, all of them. The Keth ignored your treaties and harvested them while the conquered debated responses." Singh leaned forward, her voice soft but unyielding. "We decided that would not be our fate." Counselor Bryn spoke from his corner of the room. "The conquered will want answers. Many species fear what you have built. They will call for sanctions, isolation, perhaps worse." "Let them try," Singh said. "The Prometheus was the first of our dreadnoughts. It was not the last." The statement hung in the air. Bryn processed its implications with growing amazement. The humans had not built one impossible warship. They had built a fleet. "How many?" Rilani asked. 7 dreadnoughts, 42 support vessels, 200 fighters, and more under construction every day. Rilani's skin went pale. "That's larger than most conquered member fleets." "We know." Over the following days, the political situation became increasingly complex. The Keth Dominion filed formal protests, demanding the conquered punish human aggression. The irony of predators claiming victim status was not lost on anyone, but the Keth had powerful allies. Meanwhile, other species began reaching out to Earth through unofficial channels. Species near Keth space, species that had lived in fear for generations, wanted to know more about the humans who had destroyed a Keth fleet. Counselor Bryn became humanity's unexpected advocate. He addressed the conquered High Council via transmission, describing what he had witnessed. "The humans did not attack the Keth," he stated. "They defended their home against unprovoked aggression. Every action they took was reactive, not offensive. They asked the Keth to leave. The Keth refused. The humans eliminated the threat." "They built weapons banned by conquered treaties," a counselor objected. "They never signed those treaties," Bryn replied. "You cannot hold a species to agreements they never made." "Their secrecy proves hostile intent." "Their secrecy proves intelligence. They knew how the galaxy would react. They prepared for the inevitable confrontation in silence because announcing their preparations would have brought that confrontation sooner." The debate raged for weeks. Opinions divided sharply. Some species wanted the humans destroyed before they became a greater threat. Others saw potential in an alliance with such formidable warriors. On the Prometheus, life continued. Repairs were completed. The dead were honored. Captain Okonkwo addressed his crew in the main assembly hall. "What we did here will echo across the galaxy," he said. "Some will call us monsters, others will call us saviors. Neither label matters. We fight for the right to exist. We fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is enough." Lieutenant Tanaka stood among the crew, thinking about his words. Before the battle, she had wondered if humanity's preparations were paranoid. Now she understood. The galaxy was beautiful but dangerous. Peace required strength. Ambassador Rilani requested permission to remain on Earth as the Conquered's official liaison. Her superiors were confused by the request, but she had made her choice. She had watched humans die defending their world. She had seen their grief and their resilience. She wanted to understand them better. Director Singh granted the request. "You came to protect us," Singh said during their final formal meeting. "Perhaps now we can protect each other." Rilani considered the offer. Her species had never needed protection before. They were diplomats, mediators, creatures of peace. The idea of accepting military assistance from a younger species seemed strange. But strange times required strange alliances. The conquered will take time to accept what humanity is, Rolani admitted. Many fear you. Fear can become respect, Singh replied. We are patient. Are you? Your species seems designed for action, not waiting. Singh smiled slightly. We learned patience the hard way, 100 years of preparation, remember? We can wait a little longer. Outside the window, the Prometheus orbited silently, a guardian in the dark, a warning to predators. A promise to prey. 6 months had transformed the galaxy. The news of Earth's victory spread to every inhabited world, carried by traders, diplomats, and refugees. In cantinas and council chambers, beings of every shape discussed the humans who had made predators flee. Director Singh stood before the Galactic Concord's High Council, the first human to address that ancient body. Representatives of 47 species watched her with emotions ranging from fear to hope. We do not seek conquest, she declared. We never have. Everything we built to survive, but survival is not enough. We want to be part of something greater. The council had debated humanity's fate for months. Proposals ranged from complete isolation to immediate membership. In the end, they created something new. Shield partner status, not a protected species, not a full member with voting rights, something between. A military ally bound by treaty to defend conquered space against external threats. It was a compromise no one entirely liked, which meant it was probably fair. Captain Okonkwo received his new orders aboard the Prometheus. The vessel had been fully repaired, its hull stronger than before. Now it would travel beyond Earth's solar system for the first time. First patrol assignment, he announced to his crew. The Thessari border region, reports of Keth raiding parties testing defenses. The crew responded with quiet determination. They had proven themselves against one Keth fleet. They were ready to do it again. Lieutenant Tanaka, now Commander Tanaka, studied the mission parameters at her station. She had been offered her own vessel, one of the new frigates coming off Earth's construction yards. She had declined. The Prometheus was home. The journey took 3 weeks. Faster-than-light travel was still new to humanity, and they took time to learn its complexities. Along the way, they received transmissions from conquered worlds. Some were hostile, most were curious, a few were welcoming. Ambassador Rolani traveled with them, serving as diplomatic liaison. Her presence helped smooth encounters with suspicious conquered patrols. She had changed in the months since first contact. The naive idealism remained, but it was tempered now by understanding. The Thessari are grateful for your assistance, she told Okonkwo one evening. Their colony worlds have suffered Keth raids for decades. The conquered sends strongly worded protests. You send warships. Words do not stop predators, Okonkwo replied. Actions do. The Prometheus arrived at the Thessari border to find a colony world under attack. 3 Keth raiders were bombarding settlements, harvesting civilians for transport back to Dominion space. Standard practice for the predator species. It was not standard practice for long. The Prometheus dropped out of faster-than-light travel with weapons already charging. The Keth detected the approaching vessel too late. Okonkwo did not bother with warnings. He had seen what the Keth did to helpless populations. 2 raiders died in the first exchange. The third tried to flee. Commander Tanaka calculated its course and the Prometheus intercepted, cutting off escape. A final volley ended the threat. Below, the Thessari colonists watched in amazement. They had never seen such protection. For generations, they had lived in fear, knowing that help would always arrive too late. Not anymore. Counselor Brin's document was published across the Concord network that same week. He called it, The Humans, Why the Deathworlders May Save Us All. It became the most discussed text in galactic history. He wrote about humanity's violent past and how they had channeled it into protective strength. He described their impossible planet, where everything tried to kill everything else, and how that crucible had forged a species unlike any other. They are not gentle, Brin concluded. They are not peaceful, but they are precisely what the galaxy needs. Guardians who understand violence because they have lived it. Protectors who value peace because they know its alternative. More SHIELD partner missions followed. The Prometheus and its sister ships patrolled the borders where conquered law meant nothing and only strength mattered. Wherever they went, predator species withdrew. The Keth Dominion issued threats but took no action. They had learned a painful lesson. Humanity was not prey. On the first anniversary of the Battle of Sol, a ceremony was held aboard the Prometheus. Captain Okonkwo stood before the memorial wall where 12 names were carved. The crew assembled in solemn silence. "We did not ask for this role," Okonkwo said. "We built these ships to protect ourselves, but the galaxy has other plans, so we will be what we must be, shields for the defenseless, swords against the predators." He looked at the names on the wall. 12 lives given so 8 billion could live. "We will be worthy of their sacrifice." Director Singh attended via transmission, watching from Earth. Beside her stood Ambassador Rilani, now officially appointed as conquered ambassador to humanity. "They are remarkable," Rilani said softly. Singh nodded. "They are human." Outside the viewport, a Thessari child's drawing was displayed. It showed a human ship standing between a colony and monstrous attackers. Above the ship, in careful alien script, was a single word: "Guardians." The Prometheus turned toward the stars, ready for the next patrol, ready for whatever came. Humanity had arrived. The galaxy would never be the same.